a date, but the president wants to do it. He wants to do it as soon as feasible. I think the Russian side has also expressed a willingness to do it, and so now it's just a question of bringing everyone together and figuring out where and when.
The full interview on CBS's Face the Nation. Journalism has mounted a shocking comeback to win the second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown. The heavy favorite made good on lofty expectations 2 weeks after finishing second in the Kentucky Derby.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
A new program in Memphis, Tennessee teams up local clergy members and the police. CBS's Jim Crisula reports.
It's called the Clergy Academy. It's an opportunity for local religious leaders, including Pastor Vinveka Gray, to hear from and even ride along with police to experience crime fighting firsthand in Memphis, Tennessee.
After going through the program, and I've learned that there are so many different parts to what the police department does.
Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis says the program helps police address crime.
Clergy, they know not just the where things are happening, they know who it is that we might need to talk to.
The Memphis Police Department's Clergy Academy is in its 15th year. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
Talks resumed today in an effort to settle a strike between train engineers and New Jersey's commuter railroad. The strike began on Friday. Lindy Kenyon, CBS News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this important announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-384-7878, 800-384-7878, 800-384-7878.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
Today brings a bit less warmth with breezy conditions, sunshine and some clouds at times, and a high of 70, followed by mainly clear skies tonight and a low of 49, ahead of a mostly sunny day tomorrow with a high of 67. Clouds return Tuesday along with showers late in the day or especially at night with a high of 69. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist LaTroy Thornton, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
The following is an editorial by KDKA Radio Senior Vice President Market Manager Michael Spacciapoli.
State lawmakers failed to reach agreements on two high-profile issues on Tuesday. First, a bill to legalize recreational marijuana died in a state Senate committee. House Democrats pushed through a measure without Republican support. The plan to put the Liquor Control Board in charge of selling recreational cannabis rendered the measure dead on arrival. This happened even though 68% of Pennsylvanians want the state to legalize the recreational use of marijuana. Second, a voter ID bill was not taken up to the House, even though polls show support for that is 73%. The inaction is a glaring example of how the two-party system often fails to work for the people. Taxpayers are spending big money for partisan gridlock. Spotlight PA estimates it costs more than $51 million a year for legislative salaries, per diems, office expenses, and more. A lawmaker's base salary is now more than $110,000 a year. It is not unreasonable for the taxpayers of the Commonwealth to expect results, and also why they would be upset.
This has been an editorial by KDKA Radio Senior Vice President Market Manager Michael Spacciapoli. To view a transcript, go to kdkaradio.com.
Rob Fracks on the voice of Pittsburgh, 100.1 FM and AM 1020, KDKA.
So the president has said he will make the call as early as tomorrow to try to have some sort of dialogue with Vladimir Putin. CBS Radio News, their lead story this morning, moments ago, about trying to bring this war to an end. Mark Rubio expressing his thoughts as well. This is go time. We have been telling you for the longest time, the only way that the entire globe can start moving back in the right direction post-pandemic, this war has to stop. The fear factor of what is happening in Ukraine continues to send, well, ripple effects around the world. No one is willing to do anything as long as this war is going on, because in the back of everyone's mind, especially the big three, Russia, China, and the U.S., this thing could literally slide off the face of the earth if it just goes wrong for more than just a moment. Some other country gets involved, some other dignitary makes a statement, takes a stand, sends in more troops, and the next thing you know, it's game on, and eventually it could be game over. So for all of you detractors who may not be a fan of President Donald J. Trump, we talk about the art of the deal, and many of you disagree with my thought process that he is truly one of the best deal makers anywhere. Rolls up his sleeves, can talk to anybody, any place, anywhere. And I think this is proven, especially with what he just did in the Middle East. He went and even talked to some who are not our biggest fans, but has found a way to, well, offer that olive branch to create a deal. And right now, money matters more than ever. That's the bottom line, cash flow in every country around the globe. And Russia knows more than ever that they need to get back to the business of being in business. So maybe a guy that has spent his entire life brokering business deals can make the call. And you know, Mr. Putin will accept it, or if not, shortly call him back. And they can find some common ground, get together, strike a deal, and get this peace settlement here between Ukraine and Russia sooner than later. And what that will bring, it will bring prosperity for everyone. But more importantly, and always the most important issue in any time of war, it's about stopping the carnage, the killing, the senseless killing of people on both sides. It is time for Ukraine to go back to the rightful ownership of their great country. It's time for Ukraine and their president, Volodymyr Zelensky, to start dealing with rebuilding Ukraine and getting people back to where they rightfully belong, in the neighborhoods where they were carving out history of their own before this senseless invasion happened years ago. So wish your president well, brokering a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. We are all depending on that. Let's get local and talk about this story, massive story, talking about the population in the city of Pittsburgh is actually on the rise. But now, more than ever, as we are days away from this primary election to see who will move forward as the Democrat and Republican in the mayoral race in the general election coming up in the fall. Because you not only want people to move here as they are, but you want them to have the resources to be able to stay here. And it really has to do with jobs, safety, infrastructure, education, health care, and even more than that, being able to trust the people who are running the city of Pittsburgh that they have your back. And they understand that now that you have made an investment in their city, that you're going to be in it for the long haul. The last thing we need is to have the population on the increase and not have the resources that are necessary to keep people here. You see, I think it proves a point. Even though Pittsburgh has had some rough times of late, Pittsburgh is still doing some amazing things. And they have one of the most beautiful landscapes anywhere in the country. And the scenic background goes along with all of the things that are happening in the background of the city of Pittsburgh, from Mount Washington to the south side to the north side to that legendary cultural district and more. So make no mistake about it. For those of you who want to point fingers and blame whoever the current administration is, whoever is in council, who is ever representing any of these great cities, these little neighborhoods that we love so much, somebody is doing something right, or that number would not be going upward. And when I saw this, I said, I've got to get on the bandwagon and start promoting Pittsburgh. And that's exactly what the mayor is going to have to do once this election is in the rearview mirror and the calendar flips to 2026. Because never before has there been a time more important than now for the mayor to promote the city of Pittsburgh. And the more business you bring in, the more people come in. Imagine the numbers, the population is on the rise. And we've been struggling to find work for people in the city. We've been struggling to fill up these office buildings in downtown Pittsburgh. We have been struggling to find shops and eateries for downtown Pittsburgh. And that safety, that question still becomes a major issue for many. But through it all, thick and thin, no matter how many times we want to upset the apple cart, people keep saying, I love Pittsburgh. It's my city. I want to call it my home. And these are people that are moving here from across the country and around the world. So if these people are coming here because they believe in Pittsburgh, for those of us who were born here, it's our obligation to continue to believe, but make sure things that we all believe should happen actually happen. All right, so now we got a couple of things there on the table. One other thing. Vice President J.D. Vance, the inaugural Mass of Pope Leo XIV underway in Rome. When we come back, what about a novel idea? Actually leaning into faith in America, having belief that if you pray long enough and hard enough, actual things do happen. Because we have leaned so far away from our faith, what do we have to lose by leaning into our faith, whatever your faith may be? Putting a little bit of faith in a higher power. Just maybe now more than ever, that could make things happen. So, is it time that we get back to God? 866-391-1020. Is it time we get back to prayer? 866-391-1020. And can it give you hope? And is there something to be hopeful for? As long as you have a breath to take and the sun comes up, there's always hope. Prayer, could it actually help? 866-391-1020. Your Pratt Pack will be back.
The KDKA radio text line is driven by Kenny Ross Auto Group. Find your best deal and Pittsburgh's best warranty at KennyRoss.com.
News Radio, KDKA, Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Market with 8 locations to serve you better. Brian Reynolds home into the ninth. Not enough, though. The Pirates lost to Philadelphia 5-2. Paul Skeens gets to start today. 1:35 first pitch from Citizens Bank Ballpark in Philadelphia. You can hear it on 93.7 The Fan. Through 3 rounds of the PGA Championship, Scotty Scheffler, world number 1, shot a third-round 65 at Quail Hollow. He is at 11 under, good for a 3-shot lead. In the NHL, it was Dallas over the Jets, 2-1. Winnipeg thus eliminated. In the NBA, Denver, OKC, 7th game later today with the winner to face Minnesota in the Western Conference Final. It was journalism with a massive comeback to win the second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes, and the Riverhounds lost to Colorado 1-0 last night. NASCAR racing later today in North Carolina. More sports at 937thefan.com.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. Apply now and save with no application fee. As an accredited state university, UMGC has been transforming lives for over 75 years. With more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, online and hybrid courses, personalized support, financial resources, and lifetime career services, achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get started on your next success. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by SHEV.
Join Rob Pratt every Sunday at 11 a.m. for Black and Gold Sunday, presented by Coons Market, your hometown Pittsburgh grocer. Rob keeps you posted on Pittsburgh sports with 2 hours of exciting talk. That's Black and Gold Sunday, 11 to 1, presented each week by Coons Market.
All the news you need for your day and the sports, music, and podcasts you love are all on the free Odyssey app. Download now.
The voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
You know, ever since Pope Leo became the first American-born pope, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Not just about, you know, how proud I am being a Catholic and never thought that I would see that in my lifetime, but I thought, you know, even I can do a better job when it comes to faith. And I started thinking about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through the alphabet, and I could find a problem for each letter in this country and around the world. Things that are happening that shouldn't be happening. You know, I think about where we were 150 years ago, 100 years ago, and all of the things that were happening in this country and around the world. You know, you dealt with the Great Depression, the crash of the market in 1929. You had a plague back in the early 1900s. You had, 2 world wars. You had a massive influx of immigrants coming through Ellis Island who came here really with that American dream. But in reality, the titans of business used their sweat equity to build America what it is today. You know, they were willing to work, backbreaking work, got little pay for it, but they were happy to have a job. God bless each and every one of them. Many of our parents and grandparents, we continue to stand on the shoulder of giants. But what was it? I started to think to myself, what was it that got those wonderful people that we call mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, what got them through those turbulent times, those tough times, especially facing, many people who were born in 1900 lived through 2 world wars. Think about it. You get through the war of all wars, World War I, which was horrific, trench warfare, mustard gas, horrible, horrible, horrible. And then you go through World War II. All of that. And then many of the men who fought in World War II, if they were young, they ended up in Korea fighting just a few years later, doing double duty. But they maintained. And then the 50s, the Korean War ended, and we had this just explosion with industry, right? We were at an all-time high. We had as many of 250,000 steel workers in Pittsburgh. Everything was flourishing, even though the skies were cloudy because of all of the soot and the smoke and what was being dumped into the rivers. But people found a way to sweep through all of that muck, if you will, and carved out the American dream. They weren't complaining about air pollution and why can't it be a sunny day when it should be as opposed to a cloudy day because of what that mill is pumping out, because they understood that was the heartbeat of their community. That's what enabled them to live. But what they appreciated more than anything, no matter what their denomination was, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Protestant, Muslim, worshiping, whatever God or higher power, from Catholicism to being someone of the Jewish faith, they believed if you prayed and lived a righteous life, all things were possible. So that was what it really was for them that made them successful. It was prayer. Look, I can't tell you how many relatives and people that I have known in my life who still get up and go to daily mass. I was actually in a town of a church that I used to go to on a regular basis, the parish, and I was curious to see if it was still open because it was really a very special parish to me. And yes, they are still there. They no longer have a Saturday mass, but they have one Sunday mass, but they have a daily mass at 8 a.m. in the morning. And I thought to myself, there it is. That's what I remember ancestors and people, no matter how tough, even people coming out of the mill who worked the midnight shift, before they would go home to lay down, to recharge, to do it again, they would go to Mass. So there's got to be something to prayer. So I'm just going to say this. With Pope Leo XIV, today the inaugural Mass being attended by many dignitaries, as we had mentioned, Vice President J.D. Vance is there. Maybe, just maybe, with prayer, there's a purpose. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be a Bible thumper and start quoting Scripture, but we've tried everything else in America. And if you start thinking about where America started to falter, A lot of it had to do when the Pledge of Allegiance was taken out of school, when prayer was taken out of school. So do you think that maybe prayer could give us purpose again? Maybe people would actually start to believe in something again. One of the things that I can tell you unequivocally, while my kids were younger, when I was in my 40s, even up until my 50s, up until the pandemic hit, I never missed church. Not that I want a silver star or gold star or a pat on the back, but it was basically ingrained in me as a child. We never, as a family, missed Sunday service or holy days of obligation. Now, my parents would have loved Saturday night mass. In fact, that was a game changer, and that still is. One of the things that I do wish, I miss the fact that we don't have a nightly Saturday mass in the hometown that I live in now. I was an usher there for 10 years. It was just very convenient for me because of my schedule and what I do. And, I've been doing this weekend thing all but maybe 1 or 2 weekends since 1984. So you do the math. But going to Saturday night mass in the community that I lived in always gave me that opportunity. Not making excuses, but I'm just saying I always felt better. I think I was more productive. I think there were more ways to solve issues and be able to think things through because prayer gave you purpose. Even if it is for that 45 minutes or that 1 hour or whatever or however long that service is. But I think the pandemic, a lot of people got away from it. And the reality thing, meaning watching it on YouTube, just wasn't the same feel being in your living room as it was sitting on those wooden pews, right? And thinking back, how is it that they went through a depression back in the 30s when there were soup kitchens and bread lines, but they were still worshiping in these beautiful places, these synagogues, these parishes, these churches that were just so elegant with marble and plaster and stained glass windows and steeples and bells. How did they do it? Because they understood the only way that they would survive is to have purpose, and purpose was all about prayer. So if you think about where our country is and all the things that we've gone to, economic collapse, the murders that continue to happen every day, the massive shootings, the drug epidemic, the crumbling of our roads and bridges, and the morality, the moral compass, if you will, of the American society, where does it all begin? With getting away from prayer. And I've said this many times, even though none of us can really prove if there really is something after this thing on earth, worst case scenario, you get to fall asleep, relax, rest, and it's eternal peace, right? But if there is, and we have all not really leaned in enough to get there, won't that be a sad day? And what's amazing to me, the thought process that I'm giving you now had to be the same of a mother and father who were trying to feed their 6 or 7 or 8 kids back in the 1935 year in the height of the Depression, when they couldn't get work. There wasn't, government cheese and food and health care for people that didn't have money. You had to have some sort of income to have your gas and electric on and to get health care and to buy groceries. There was no rationing. There was no, odd and even numbers that gave you an opportunity to get free gas or food. None of that happened. This is why I will never give up on the political system, because people like FDR and others created so many things to help the American people that Americans are still being helped today, the less fortunate. We talk about affordable housing. That's been a big ticket item, continues to be. We really hammered home on it, no pun intended, yesterday because of some state news and what the governor is trying to do. And I love the fact that they're going to maybe roll out some cash, millions, to give people a chance for closing costs and down payment, but once that's over, you've got to pick up the freight. But when I saw that number in the PG yesterday, 690,000 houses have to be built, affordable housing units, by 2040, I'm thinking if we can do all of that and put all of that ingenuity into something like that, why can't we put hammer to nail and start finding a way for people to be able to build back their lives? And I think all of the people that helped build America, those in the building trades, in the steel industry, and the moms who really worked harder than everyone to keep things flowing perfectly at home while Dad went out and made a living, what did they have in common? What was the one thing that they had in common? They had prayer. Prayer gave them purpose. Every time they prayed to have things better, to help others. And more importantly, expressing love to people in their subconscious that none of us really knew what they were praying about. But because we were all together, shoulder to shoulder in these religious settings, these parishes, these churches, these synagogues, we understood that the one thing we had in common, prayer. And prayer was giving us a purpose to come back every single week. And in that time span that we weren't there, we were taking that thoughtfulness and that love and that purpose that we got from prayer, and we were sprinkling it in the neighborhood and the community that we called home, and the workplace that we spent more time sometimes than we did with our own family. And obviously, when you were having trouble and those very tiring times, as all families do, you leaned into your prayer. And you had the symbols and things that really reminded you of your faith at home. You see what I'm saying? We just kept planting seeds and planting seeds and planting seeds. So what happened, one generation after the other, we started to reap the harvest. And it became a purpose, a prayer from one generation to the next. People used to say to me all the time, what is it with you at church? You got to put church first. You got to do this, that, whatever. And I was like, you know what? It was ingrained in me as a kid. It was ingrained in me as a kid. You couldn't do anything, beginning, middle, or end of any weekend, any celebration, any downtime, any yard work, anything, unless you went to church. And I think if we could get back to having prayer and purpose, maybe this country could start seeing together, understanding that we're all members of the human race, and if we work together, strength in numbers, we can get more accomplished. And a lot of this really was because of the news, the first American Pope. Whether you're Catholic or not, it's a major story. It's a very heartwarming story. Listening to his brothers, his childhood, really reminded me of a lot of the people I knew growing up, and even me in some aspects of my life. So maybe we can take this day of his inaugural Mass and use it as a thought process when it comes to prayer, giving us purpose. Because I do know this, our country is in the need of some healing in a big way, and no politician, no business, no community leader, nothing, or even generational wealth can change that. That's got to come within. It's got to come within your heart and soul. And the only way that happens is prayer, which gives you purpose. So do you think maybe if we get back praying a little bit more, that purpose will help stimulate people to the point they'll think, hey, it's okay if somebody else has another opinion. And it's okay even when we disagree politically, whatever, we can still work together for the greater good. Prayer and purpose, will it work now more than ever? I think so. 866-391-1020. It's your Pratt Pack. Good morning.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Be a part of something new, exciting, and totally Pittsburgh. Join the inaugural Rockin' Regatta at Pittsburgh Brewing Company, June 7th and 8th. A brand new summer celebration packed with live music, river racing by Three Rivers Outboarding, local food, family fun, and more. Tickets on sale now at pittsburghbrewing.com/events.
Colin Dunlap on KDKA.
What do you do to make sure that the money you give, I don't care if it's $1, I don't care if it's $1 million, if it's a $5 bill, if it's $100, how do you make sure when you give that it's going to the right places, that it's legitimate? That's the question I have, because you think, well, I'm not going to give to a big national big box charity because I want it to be at home.
Weekdays 2 to 6 on the Voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
From the Aetna Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
CBS News Brief. 2 crew members have been killed, at least 19 injured after a Mexican Navy training ship crashed into New York City's Brooklyn Bridge. The NYPD Special Operations Chief is Wilson Arambolas.
The pilot, the captain that was maneuvering the ship, lost power, and the current caused the ship to go right into the pillar of the bridge.
No major damage to the bridge itself. At least one person has been killed after an explosion near a fertility clinic in Palm Springs, California. This man lives nearby.
What they're telling you is that your right to create a family is something that somebody is going to push against, that they're going to suppress, that they're going to say no to.
The FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism. The first American Pope is being installed today. The bells rang out, and so did the cheers as Pope Leo XIV took his first Pope-mobile ride. CBS News Brief.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8 year old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it, and the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Have you been told there is nothing that can be done for your neuropathy? Tri-State Neuropathy Centers is pleased to tell you that's not true. As one of the largest and most successful neuropathy treatment practices in the country, Tri-State Neuropathy Centers has grown to 9 regional centers and helped over 14,000 patients, like Bill from Mars. Bill's neuropathy got so bad he couldn't sleep due to the pain and was losing his balance, causing him to have frequent falls. Then Bill found Tri-State Neuropathy Centers. Their effective FDA-approved treatment program greatly improved Bill's neuropathy, and now he's sleeping through the night, can feel his feet again, and has no more pain. Listen to Bill's complete story at marydanston.com. Tri-State Neuropathy Centers help Bill, along with thousands of others. Let them help you next. Call 724-940-9000. That's 724-940-9000. Tri-State Neuropathy Centers, the leader in treating peripheral neuropathy.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
For the second half of this weekend, expect breezy conditions today with sunshine, some clouds around, and a high of 70, with mostly clear skies in store for tonight on the way to a low of 49, leading to a rather sunny day for tomorrow with a high of 67. Clouds do return on Tuesday with some showers around late or at night, high 69. For AccuWeather, I'm LaTroy Thornton, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right, we'll be back to it on Monday. Can't wait. We'll get the week started right. And, so join me, 2 to 6, Colin Dunlap right here, KDKA.
It was a rather pleasant morning, and I walked outside to get in the vehicle to make it to work today. Let's see how long it will last. Trey, one thing's for sure, my grass is not suffering because of lack of rain, and if we were able to have our gardens in, boy, they'd be happy too. But now that we're getting into the final stretch of the month of May, a lot of people are going to be planting things in their gardens, so hopefully we'll have a little bit of this rain carry over for the next few weeks. But I don't think I really, in recollection, remember a May that had so many different varieties of weather, but a whole lot of H2O. Is that correct or not? Good morning.
Right. Well, yes, we are running just a little bit above normal for rain so far this month. Actually, Pittsburgh Airport has missed a lot of the rain, so we're not running too far ahead, but right around where we should be.
These mild temperatures, a little bit of a breeze today, pretty much normal for this time of year?
Yeah, we're looking pretty normal for the next couple of days. A little breezy today, not as gusty as where we were yesterday. But you did mention wanting more rain, and we're going to get that, especially toward the middle part of this week.
So explain to me, once again, St. Louis and other states as far as Wisconsin and just horrible stuff. Over 24 folks lost their lives. What's up with this crazy weather we've been experiencing, not just in this part of the country, but throughout the country? Places that I just don't really remember that we're getting hit multiple times with tornadoes and severe weather bad enough to take human life. What is up with this weather pattern over the last couple of years? Can you make any sense of it at all?
Sure. So actually there has been research done on tornado climatology and how the conditions for tornadoes set up. And it has been found that over the last 30 to 40 years, there's been an eastward shifting trend in the frequency of conditions that are favorable for tornadoes, especially like getting over toward the Mississippi River Valley and then even east of the Mississippi. So we're seeing more of those type of conditions. But St. Louis, as a matter of fact, they have actually had a pretty rich history with tornadoes. They've been hit multiple times back over the last couple of decades and centuries.
All right, so let's talk about the 5-day. Run that first alert 5-day forecast, please.
Sure. So today, 68, mostly cloudy and breezy. Tomorrow, a little bit more sun. We'll be up to 68 again. Tuesday starts out sunny, then we'll see clouds increase, chance of rain Tuesday evening, and then that chance of rain becomes pretty widespread on Wednesday. And then toward the back half of the week, we turn cooler. We'll struggle to likely make it to 60 some days with some more off and on rain chances through Friday.
All right, Trey, listen, have a great day. Always appreciate your time.
All right, you too. Have a good one.
Trey Fulbright, First Alert Forecast meteorologist on duty at KDKA Television. All right, here's Ron in Michigan with your Pratt Pack on KDKA. Hey, Ron.
Good morning, Rob. Rob, you were talking about the FDR and Social Security, and throughout the history of Social Security, it's increased its benefits to poor people, and especially for elderly people, it's helped them to survive. Okay. And the food programs that also like Meals on Wheels. But ever since FDR put those programs into place, Social Security, unemployment insurance, workman's compensation, safety rules for workers and the environment, ever since he put those in place, the Republicans have been trying to destroy it. And they are finally in a position where they will destroy it. We are seeing senior citizens being deprived, 100-year-old people being deprived of maybe their only meal because they can't stand up at the stove and cook anymore. And for sure they can't go out and shop anymore. And those little meals coming in keep those people independent and alive, but they're being eliminated. The heartlessness, the cruelty of the Republicans to see their senior citizens, no respect for their elders, let them starve to death. Veterans who served this country in wars like I did in Vietnam, where we never, ever should have been. And now they're telling veterans, we're cutting your benefit. My benefits are being cut. The wait time for appointments is months and months and months. And they're telling veterans, go and die. The suicide rate among veterans is astronomical, and they're cutting those programs. They're saying to those veterans, die. Go commit suicide. If you think I'm going to crawl around and die and not look for the people, not try and bring the people who bringing slow death on all the Americans who don't have Bitcoin and Teslas and billionaire friends. I just hope that those poor people, before they succumb to the Republican death wish, that they are able to somehow express themselves to the Republic scum who are putting us in this place. Thank you.
All right, Ron. I appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you very much. Yeah, see, this is the type of stuff that just worries me. I mean, it just does. I mean, I just can't believe the anger amongst people in this country. And what nobody really understands, as much as we want to look at whoever is in that place that is the Oval Office as the single most responsibility of why our country is suffering, look, this started years ago. That's why I thought on this day of the inaugural Mass of Pope Leo XIV, maybe we could take a fresh approach and start looking at what really was different when we had prosperity in this country. Okay, because think about it, right? You had poverty. You had addiction issues. You had infrastructure issues, the Great Depression. As much as we don't want to believe it, it wasn't all Norman Rockwell. There were blighted neighborhoods. There was crime, bootlegging, which basically was the modern-day drug dealer, okay? But the one thing you had divorce, single-parent households. You had certain sexual preference that even though it was behind closed doors, wasn't being accepted. I mean, it just goes on and on. A young teenager getting pregnant in high school was definitely looked on with a major frown. I mean, there was issues back then. But what was it that made all of those issues take a back seat? What was it that all of those issues went away? What was it that made those issues not as important as keeping whatever a semblance of a family or a community or a neighborhood that you had, you did. I mean, think about World War I, World War II, when pretty much all of the male population of a community disappeared. And when we got into World War II, we had antiquated military equipment that was left over 30-plus years ago at the end of World War I, and now we had to fight the highly weaponized German army, the Japanese army. We didn't have anything. Men were being basically drafted as we speak, and we're literally being taken from the breakfast table to that local army barracks. They were shipped off that quickly because the numbers had to be ramped up. So what happened? Somebody had to take over those jobs in the mills because there were tanks and things that needed to be made. The women stepped up. Rosie the Riveter was born. That inner strength. Think about that. Do you think our society could do something like that today? If a world war broke out and all of a sudden the young male population was being taken away, the young female population taken away, who would be left to do it? Would it be my generation, someone a little younger, a little older? Could we do it? Because we never really grew up in that industrial age. Would we be able to weaponize America, protect America? That's why I led off today with the president needing to make a call to Vladimir Putin to get this war stopped, because it is such a slippery slope. But what was it that made all of those things null and void back in the day when it was horrific? More horror stories and headlines than you and I could ever think of facing. It was prayer. It gave them purpose, a belief that if they used that as the glue that was necessary, no matter how desperate it was to keep our society together, it would do just that. So maybe on this day in which the new Pope is basically taking that first major step with this inaugural Mass, he is there for a couple of reasons, but the one thing they keep talking about over and over and over is unity. So maybe we can use that as a springboard to give us all the idea that the only way we survive is unity. And there is just not enough unity in this country today. Look, I've been there. I've done that. I've seen it all. Marriage collapse. That's another thing. We were talking just the other day about how easy it is for people to get out of a marriage, how easy it is for children to leave their house and never even look back because they've never had any kind of consistency or a family unit. I don't know what is wrong with our society today, because there is still a lot of good out there. But I still think when you hear people and the anger and the finger pointing and the name calling, I mean, it's just sad. I mean, even Bruce Springsteen and the president going back and forth when there are people starving right here in our community, where there are people that have lost their jobs, need health care. And we've got two people who are beyond wealth that could basically support all of us in this region, right? They're going back and forth about just name calling and anger. I want to see more unity. I want to see great people, and they both have accomplished more than I will ever hope to accomplish. But start building bridges as opposed to knocking them down, because what happens when you burn the bridge? You have no way of going back. And right now, America needs to go back. 866-391-1020. It's your Pratt Pack. Rob Taylor with that news at 6 a.m. coming up on KDKA.
The KDKA Mobile News Fleet is driven by Jim Shorkey Kia, North Huntington and Wexford. JimShorkeyKia.com.
News Radio, KDKA, Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Market with 8 locations to serve you better. Brian Reynolds home into the ninth. Not enough, though. The Pirates lost to Philadelphia 5-2. Paul Skeens gets to start today. 1:35 first pitch from Citizens Bank Ballpark in Philadelphia. You can hear it on 93.7 The Fan. Through 3 rounds of the PGA Championship, Scotty Scheffler, world number 1, shot a third-round 65 at Quail Hollow. He is at 11 under, good for a 3-shot lead. In the NHL, it was Dallas over the Jets, 2-1. Winnipeg thus eliminated. In the NBA, Denver, OKC, 7th game later today with the winner to face Minnesota in the Western Conference Final. It was journalism with a massive comeback to win the second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes, and the Riverhounds lost to Colorado 1-0 last night. NASCAR racing later today in North Carolina. More sports at 937thefan.com.
Hey folks, it's Marty. NASCO Roofing, the region's roofing leader. Wow, they're good. They continue to exceed customer expectation. For instance, Charles from Bethel Park highly recommends NASCO. Charles was pleased with NASCO's exemplary customer service and the quality of their work. NASCO has satisfied thousands like Charles. Now's the time to get NASCO on your roof. Call NASCO Roofing, 412-373-2000, 412-373-2000. Most jobs done in a day. Special financing available. NASCO, NASCO.
Honey, I found the perfect place for my parents and us.
Where?
St. Barnabas. For us, the Woodlands Carriage Home Community. And for my parents, condominium-style living at the Village. My folks will love the Village. There's an indoor mall with shops, restaurants, and more. And we can relax, knowing they're safe and secure.
That's what I plan to do when we move to St. Barnabas. Relax.
Call 724-444-5568 or visit stbarnabascommunities.com.
Here's the latest from the KDKA Community Message Board.
Book your stay at the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino. Enjoy free valet parking and breakfast while being right in the heart of all the action. Whether it's a weekend getaway or a staycation, they have you covered. Book today at thelandinghotelpgh.com. Registration is now open for the 2025 Richard S. Caligiuri City of Pittsburgh Great Race, presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. One great weekend takes place the last Saturday and Sunday of September. From the 5K to the 10K to the Dollar Bank Junior Great Race, there's a start line for everyone. Details at KDKA-radio.com. If you're over 60 and looking for a weight loss program built specifically for you, Awaken 180 is your solution with Awaken 180 Golden, a new 1 to 3 month program for fast weight loss tailored to those over 60. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Details at KDKARadio.com.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Everything you need, every time you listen. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
Tech Vibe Radio within 15 minutes after Rob checks the news at 6, 7 o'clock today. Steve Rapaski in for Doug, who is in jolly old England on vacay. 8 o'clock, ground meat recipes, meatloaf, meatballs, and burgers with Frank Dentisi. 9 o'clock, storm-related issues. Look, lots of folks still dealing with tree issues, and spring is here, and if you have any tree-related questions, Carlos McClintock, Radio Pit Tree Service, will be here. Accurate Solutions at 10, and then 2 hours of the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show. Lots of Pirates to get to. The PGA Championship, we're going to start previewing Oakmont. Devin Gee, Club Pro at Oakmont, a week from today, May 25th, will join us in the first hour of the program. And then Teddy Ballgame will be here to talk a lot about the NFL. Oh, where is Aaron Rodgers? And is he really contemplating retirement? That's a story that's been trending as of early today. All right, let's talk to Joanne, Point Breeze. Joanne, it's all yours. Good morning.
Good morning, and God bless the Pope. You know, I knew I liked Bruce Springsteen for a hot moment. I remember years and years ago how doctors and that I knew and nurses, and we all were trying to get those tickets, Bruce Springsteen. So as I said, I knew I liked him for a reason. Now, the main reason I called is the veterans. How dare they cut anything on those veterans? If you've been in the VA and you've seen those the people that fought for this country, and this insurrectionist, this felon, convicted felon, would go and cut anything for the instead of giving them more.
Joanne, can you please please turn that down. Thank you.
They would give them more benefits. Because if something would happen in this country, I want to know if all these people that are so crazy about them, if they're going to suit up and make sure their children suit up. How dare they cut anything for the vets? And I think we need to go after these politicians who've been sitting on their, you know what, collecting those big paychecks, cutting people's jobs, who stayed at a job and built these, helped build these countries. There's a way to do it, but the way he thought, I'll just slash everything and what will be will be. Let him understand it. He's not slashing anything for himself, and for him to go over there with the Arabs, he looked like a fool as far as I was concerned. Those people know who he is and how he is, and know what he is. So, amen for Springsteen. And as I said, go after these politicians that they have. How dare they cut the veterans for anything? Thank you, Rob. Have a good week. It makes me angry when they talk about the vets. And I go over there, and I've had family members over there. I have family members that are still young men that are still in the service. So how dare they cut anything on the vets? You people need to speak up, whether you like this man or you don't. All of us need to be on the phones to these lazy politicians. Thank you. Have a good week.
All right. Yeah. Well, one thing about Donald Trump, he's all for the military. I mean, so don't be saying that he's cutting anything when it comes to veterans. All right. I mean, he may be doing the deep dive on some things that we're not happy about, but I don't think in my lifetime, maybe George W. Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, I don't know, but anybody who's been that patriotic, the guy really is a flag-flying individual who does appreciate the men and women of the military. You know, we've got that Memorial Day weekend coming up next weekend, and what we're going to do Monday night, a week from tomorrow, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're just going to take calls. We're just going to talk about where we are in our country as far as defense spending, military prowess, what we need to do, my thought process about, you know, closing a lot of these military bases around the world that there hasn't been any kind of even thought process of a war. All we continue to do is put money into the economies of these countries, wasted money, when we could be actually reinforcing our military bases here, creating new military bases, wrapping them around communities, stimulating local economies, giving the building trades more to do, keeping young men and women who get out of high school, grab a tool belt, become a carpenter, electrician, and plumber, actually get into that. And we're going to obviously give you a chance to pay tribute to people in your life who served in the military. So we're just going to take calls a week from Monday night on Memorial Day. No guests, just you and me. And we're going to spend time saluting the men and women of the military. We'll actually do it all weekend long, something we've been doing since, really, I started here. And I've always been a big proponent of it. And now more than ever, we need to pay tribute to the men and women of our military. All right, one more call this very busy Sunday morning. Here's Kathy in Imperial. Kathy, good morning, and welcome to KDKA.
Thank you. I got to balance out the conversation here a little bit about Donald Trump and the veterans. I just read an article where he is building housing and allocating the funds that were used for people that were here that didn't come over the border and do the proper chain of command legally to become American citizens. He's using that money that was being used by the Biden administration to house, feed, give cell phones, laptops, all of Medicare, medical. He's taking those same funds and using them for our homeless veterans. So, you know, I had to say that just because it is a fact. This was just recent in the last couple weeks. I read an article about that, so I thought that was awesome. And yes, he is very pro-military, probably the most pro-military, and applies it. You know, he gets things done for our veterans. Those 13 families that lost their, the Gold Star families that lost their sons and daughters in the horrendous exit from the war. You know, he honored them when the Biden administration wouldn't. During the Republican National Convention, he brought them on stage. They were each able to speak about their sons and daughters because the Biden administration had never let them even acknowledge them. So, and they had never acknowledged them as well. So I had to say that just because.
I totally get it, Kathy. Have a great day. We always appreciate you. Look, one thing we need to understand, we have to be pro-military, whether we are or not. You know, we've lost rank and file when it comes to police and fire departments and EMTs because we don't promote these heroes that walk amongst us enough. We don't talk about the men and women who are out there every day, especially in law enforcement, putting their life on the line to serve and protect and to keep us safe. And we've also lost our way. Another thing, that prayer and purpose that we talked about, what got us through some very difficult times. I mean, think about World War II. There was not a single tax dollar spent. It cost over $8 billion. Now, when you look at wars today, that's a drop in the bucket. But that was a lot of money, especially for a country that was dealing with a depression, right? But not a single taxpayer dollar was spent fighting World War II. And we had to basically reinvent our entire military. It came from war bonds. People that literally were getting soup from a soup kitchen, giving a penny, a nickel, a dime, whatever they could to support the men and women who they believed in. And they supported and they flew their flag. And when those men came back from World War II, their children, like they did with their parents, believed in them and supported them. We have to start paying tribute to the heroes that walk amongst us so future generations will understand there is a price for freedom. All right, stay with us. Rob Taylor next with the news. Back in 1 hour with Steve Rapaski today for Doug Oster on The Organic Gardener. Good morning.